So what happens when you remote view Area 51? This is fascinating. Get in here. This is Cosmic Road, where I discuss UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like, please subscribe, share on social media, and as I'm going through the story, please comment below and let me know what you think. Okay, this story comes from Daz Smith, a very accomplished remote viewer. Sometimes he runs teams of remote viewers. Sometimes he works as part of a team. He does stuff like helping the police find missing people with some success, and various other things. He's a very serious guy and a very good remote viewer. Now, this particular remote viewing session is just him alone with a blind target. He doesn't know that it's Area 51, but he's been given this target and he is remote viewing it. And this is what he comes up with only after his session is he told what the target was. Now, I always feel better about remote viewing when it's a team and when there's some consensus of the team involved. But that's not the case here. So, take that with, as it is. That said, he is a very good remote viewer, and what he's seeing really does ring true. At least for me. If you have a different thought, then please let me know in the comments below. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to show his summary of the remote viewing video, of the remote viewing session. And you can watch the whole video. It's like the better part of an hour, but it's fascinating and well worth your time. And I'll link to that in the description below. So check that out. But at the end of that session, he gives a few-minute summary of what he has viewed. And so I'm going to play that, and then I'll have some comments. Okay, here we go.
So in summary then, we have a landed location, which is remote, dry, dusty, very desert-like. Big vistas, no one around, very secure, very disguised. And within this, we have at least one large structure, probably more than that though, but we have other substructures as well. Then there's an extension of the structures underground, which radiate off a central core, and we're talking deep underground, very deep. I mean, this feels like it's taken years to build. And then under here, we have these sub areas. And I'm just going to draw them like linear like this, although they're not linear like this. It's just easier for me to draw. We have these sub areas here. They extend out from a central core underground. Each one or each level has its own job, its own role. At parts it links into what all the others are doing, but generally they're all compartmentalized. The majority of what they do is not known by everyone else, and there is some kind of other system, and there's kind of like escape hatches and all kinds of strange stuff that lead off in different areas and stuff. So it feels like a massive underground facility in a remote location. It feels very scientific, very engineer based, very security conscious. It's very hard to get past this level here, security wise, unless you are on the list, on the know. It feels very technology based security, very biometric. People are shipped in. They come in almost through some kind of like airport hangar type arrangement where they're scanned, they're checked, they then get shipped off their other areas, maybe through this big huge lift, room shaped lift or something that extends down. I feel there are smaller ones as well. People live here, so they can stay here for a period of time. They're living facilities, washing facilities, recreation facilities, all close-ish to the surface. Then the lower down you go, the more complex, the more secret it all becomes. Different levels with different research going on. As I said, there's the weaponry. I can't spell. There's biology, virology. I'm going to put exobiology in here as well because it feels like that's what they're doing. There's movement-based research, There's energy. I can feel that they're looking into all different types of energy. Compressed, something about compressed energy. Energy compressed into small spaces, very small spaces, but huge amounts of energy. There's security. They all interlink, but they don't interlink at the same point. Only a few very small top tier of people know how these interlink, get reports from everything, put together a larger picture. Everyone else is kept out of the picture. All they know is their separate area only, and that's only a very small sliver of what they get to see. So they don't get to see what their partners are exactly doing, they just know what they're doing. Only a few people get to see larger aspects of the general picture. So it feels like, some kind of research, science, military type facility in a remote location. It has outside help. These feel like they're retrieval teams, very special forces in nature. It feels like very small teams of special forces type people that go out when they're tasked to retrieve still objects and artifacts. They're brought back to this facility, and then worked on, taken apart, repaired in some cases, back engineered, expanded upon. This feels like an effort to expand upon knowledge, science and technology, all done secretly, covertly, because this feels disguised. The whole thing disguised. It feels disguised, and it feels like there's. If I wanted to look into this, I feel like there's loads of double-barreled, and I know this from my prior research. Double-barreled code names for what's going on here. Lots and lots of code names in storage, and as I said, there's a library area as well. There's a storage area, which is for physical, digital, and biological artifacts. Huge, big, vast room or rooms. Some of it vacuum sealed, some of it out on display, some of it accessible by computer. Stored, not filing cabinets, because they just don't look like filing cabinets. It looks more IKEA-ish, drawers on runners that soften and lights come on, all kinds of strange stuff there. So a big storage library facility here as well, with lots of information stored on what they're doing. Big effort, hundreds of people, multi-leveled, covert, secret, in a remote location, not in my country, foreign to me, away from me. It's warm or hot, dusty, remote. Very, if I had to guess, I'd say Area 51 stroke S4 or Pine Gap as an AOL. How's that feeling about it? Purposely hidden research, science, military facility, working on all different kinds of aspects. I could go more in detail into any of these, like I have done on paper, but time doesn't allow for that really. I think that's pretty much it for an overview. As I said, they're working on craft, weaponry. They have at least one sentient artificial life form that's been retrieved, which is pretty much ball-shaped but larger, metallic, retrieved from another country maybe, it feels like it. Secretly shipped in some kind of like container or containment, almost like it's held hostage kind of thing, because it feels like this is some kind of living machine. They have craft that are working, some that aren't working, some in states of repair or being taken apart. Above ground feels like there's at least one large hangar type structure, probably more. there are supporting structures. Feels like there's a road system or runway system above ground, so there'd be, if this were an above view, there'd be huge, big. It feels like there's an intersection of runways or something. At least 2 or 3 runways areas above ground. I think that's it on this target. So, quick summary again. Remote location, housing some kind of overground, underground, covert, camouflaged, secret, highly secure facility, which is embedded in the ground, built out of an existing cave system which has been extended, multi-leveled, at least 10 levels underground, very complex, very deep, very technical, very secure, research, back engineering, science, stroke military facility. So that's it. So I hope you enjoy this, and take care, and I'll speak to you soon.
Fascinating, right? So a multi-level structure, and in some of the other pages, because he's going through pages and drawing on them, he actually shows what the levels look like. It doesn't look like what he drew on the summary. That was just easier for him to draw. It actually goes in a spiral with the different levels kind of in a corkscrew, going down and down and down. And and there's a hierarchy of people working there, and very compartmentalized, as you would expect. There's the scientists, there's the security, there's the administration, there's the whatever. And anyway, it all rings true to me. What's not clear to me is whether this is Area 51 proper or S4. It feels very S4-ish. There's, crash retrieved objects that they're working on and doing stuff. Oh, and if you don't know, S4 is the area of Area 51, or the adjacent facility that Bob Lazar worked on, or is said to have worked on. Personally, I believe Bob Lazar's story. Everything that he has said has over the years checked out. But if you're not a Bob fan, or if you disagree, or don't even believe Bob Lazar, I totally understand that. My personal theory is not so much that I trust Bob Lazar, but I trust George Knapp. And George Knapp did a lot of investigating before he ran with the original Bob Lazar story. And, they were, encountering all sorts of official resistance and threats and all sorts of stuff that was going on that really convinced George Knapp of the reality of who Bob was and of what he had seen. So anyway, I like Bob. I'm not going to go into the arguments for and against Bob Lazar. I've actually talked a little bit about that before. But the point is that I don't know if what Daz is seeing is S4 or Area 51. Is there really a huge facility under Area 51 that is doing the same sorts of things that are said to have happened at S4? I don't know. Why would there be 2 similar facilities? But maybe there are. In any case, I think it's important to note that what he's seeing is a current thing. This is an ongoing project. A lot of people have thought that maybe Area 51 has been moved over the years because of all the interest in Area 51 and people, casual ufologists going out there, or as close as they can get, and trying to spy on it and see what they can see. Well, if Daz is correct, they have not moved it, and it is still an ongoing effort by the military to reverse engineer alien technology. He doesn't use the word alien, but it's clearly UFOs that they have retrieved and that are still working on. So yeah, let's just talk about the retrieval. That was really interesting. He saw a global retrieval project, people bringing objects and artifacts from all over the world to Area 51 to reverse engineer. They were particularly interested in things like energy systems. That was fascinating. And completely understandable because they are trying to fly these objects and use these objects. And of course, just in general, you would want to be able to create power. So, whether that's 0 point energy or element 115 or, I don't know. And he didn't provide any details. But yeah, so they have retrieval teams. They go out all over the world and collect these artifacts. And as we saw in the Virginia, Brazil case, they work directly with the government. I mean, if it's the same team, and I'm going to say that there's probably multiple facilities around the U.S. and even the world probably doing this sorts of thing. So it could be another team and another group, and there could be different factions, but whatever. So yeah, in the Virginia, Brazil case, in the new James Fox movie, Moment of Contact, we see that the U.S. government went to Brazil to collect the downed ship there and also the bodies of the dead beings, as well as potentially 2 living beings. So yeah, so the retrieval teams go and they collect this stuff and they bring it to Area 51, and probably other places, but they bring it to Area 51 and they take it down into the deepest levels, most likely, and they try to reverse engineer it. And yeah, so that's fascinating. I was really looking to see whether he was able to pick up on any beings, any non-human beings. And the only thing that he seemed to find was the spherical object that was sentient and artificial, or had an artificial-like quality, but it was a living, sentient being, however artificial, and it had been retrieved by the team, the retrieval team, and it was being contained somehow. So they have some sort of technology that allows them to contain this alien consciousness, whatever it is. Maybe it's helpless, maybe it can't defend itself. But you would think that it might have some mechanisms to defend itself that they have overcome, but that's just speculation. So whatever, they've retrieved this thing, and it is there, and it is the only non-human intelligence that he seems to have picked up on. So I think that's significant. Bob Lazar had actually dealt with a couple, 2 or 3 beings that he had encountered at S4. So could the facility that Daz saw, that is the classic Area 51, and the beings are over at S4. Does that ring true to anybody? I mean, it could be. I can see a scenario where that would make sense. And it's possible Daz just wasn't picking up on stuff. There's probably so much stuff there that it'd be hard to pick up in just one or a few sessions. Another interesting thing to me was the giant library or storage facility that he was able to pick up on. And so it brings to mind the Indiana Jones storage facility at the end of Raiders at the Lost Ark, where they get the Lost Ark and they put it in this storage area, and we pan out and we see that it's only one artifact among thousands of artifacts in this giant facility. And so it seems like something like that is real, and it's beneath Area 51, and they have a range of different things, not just artifacts, but beings, possibly, probably deceased beings, and a wealth of other stuff. I would love to know what they have. I mean, just the Virginia, Brazil incident alone. So I guess the bodies of those beings are probably down there. If they went to Area 51, do they have the living beings down there as well? It's when you start thinking about that and beings being held captive by the military, you really get a sense of how serious all of this is. There are deaths. There are possibly captive beings. At least we know that that big spherical object seems to have been held captive. What is that thing? Is that possibly the core of a craft? The AI core of a UFO or something? Because you hear time and again from experiencer accounts, from abductee and contactee accounts, that the ships are alive. And often the abductees or contactees will be, when they reach a certain point in their relationship with the beings, they will be allowed to fly the ships, and they can even merge their consciousnesses with the ships. Now, that's going to sound a little wild and crazy to some of you guys, but that is something that is often repeated, so often repeated by contactees and abductees that I take it as a fact. Now, it is important, when reading and hearing about abductee and contactee accounts, their minds have been wiped, and these are recovered memories. Generally speaking, every now and then you'll run into one like Dolly that Preston Dennett has interviewed many times and written books about, who is a conscious abductee or contactee rather, and her mind has not been wiped, and but that's very rare. And so in the majority of these cases, their minds have been tampered with. So you always have to keep that in your own mind when going over their accounts. So, but yeah, so they do merge their minds with that of the UFO, and which appears to be a living entity of some sort. So, could this spherical object be part of that? I don't know, because they have entire craft apparently, and they even have reverse engineered craft. So, to me, the spherical object seems like something different from that. Could it be just the only surviving part of that particular ship? Maybe, but Daz did not pick up on any of the other consciousnesses that were inhabiting the other craft. So I tend to think that this is something completely different than that. Anyway, so really fascinating stuff. Again, I encourage you to check out his full video and his other series of videos. And I will be talking more about those as well, because there's some really meaty stuff in there. And I can't wait to dive into it with you guys. Meanwhile, we're all waiting for the UFO report to Congress. Theoretically, that could drop any moment. And I'll be on it when it does. I'm not holding my breath, but it could happen at any time, so we will see. Meanwhile, guys, thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate that. Please leave a big like, a big thumbs up. That'd be awesome. I'd really appreciate it. Please smash the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of future videos. There's social media links below, Facebook and Twitter. It'd be super helpful to me if you could share these videos when I drop them on social media. And it'd be fun to interact with you guys on Facebook and Twitter. So hope to see you there. Until next time, Cosmic Road out.